This video sheds light on the world's most perilous nations, with a keen focus on elements like conflict, crime, and political turbulence. Such insights can empower travelers to make well-informed choices when venturing abroad. Top 10. Mali. Mali has a history marked by coups, conflicts, and social unrest, resulting in a precarious political environment. These factors collectively rank it as one of the world's most hazardous destinations for travelers. The presence of terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, AQIM, and the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, ISGS, is significant, especially in Mali's northern and central regions. Their attacks on civilians and security forces contribute to a high level of violence and instability. The country also grapples with a substantial crime rate, particularly in the capital city of Bamako, where incidents like armed robbery, theft, and carjacking are prevalent. Additionally, Mali faces a considerable threat from landmines and unexploded ordnance, primarily in the northern areas. Periodic disease outbreaks, including cholera, meningitis, and Ebola, have taken a toll, particularly affecting children. In light of these risks, the U.S. Department of State has issued a Level 4, "Do Not Travel," advisory for Mali, urging U.S. citizens to refrain from all travel to the country. Several other nations have also released similar travel warnings and advisories, underscoring the perils associated with visiting Mali. Top 9. Ukraine. Ukraine, situated in Eastern Europe, finds itself embroiled in a geopolitical struggle between the East and the West. The ongoing conflict that erupted in 2014 in eastern Ukraine has significantly heightened tensions between Ukraine and Russia. With Moscow's backing, pro-Russian separatists have taken control of portions of Ukraine's Donetsk and Luhansk regions, igniting a war that has resulted in thousands of casualties and the displacement of millions. Consequently, Ukraine is currently regarded as the world's most unsafe destination for travelers. Despite concerted efforts to ameliorate the situation, Ukraine grapples with enduring political instability and corruption, further compounded by economic challenges. The aftermath of the conflict has left Ukraine's economy in a state of struggle, characterized by soaring inflation rates, unemployment, and increased poverty. To sustain its economy, Ukraine heavily relies on foreign aid and financial assistance from the International Monetary Fund. Top 8. Russia. Russia, the world's largest country, is no stranger to perilous situations. Its foreign policy often reflects assertiveness and power dynamics. In 2014, Russia's annexation of Crimea from Ukraine elicited international condemnation and led to sanctions against the nation. Additionally, Russia has faced allegations of interfering in foreign elections, including the 2016 U.S. presidential election. These actions have contributed to Russia's reputation as one of the world's most turbulent countries. On the domestic front, Russia confronts numerous challenges. Political dissent is often met with severe repression, and the government has been accused of human rights violations. Corruption is widespread, with bribery and embezzlement posing significant problems in both the public and private sectors. The North Caucasus region within Russia is particularly volatile, marked by an Islamist insurgency and separatist movements that present notable security risks. Notably, Chechnya has been the scene of multiple wars and ongoing conflicts, with reports of human rights abuses and extrajudicial killings. The region is also notorious for its high levels of organized crime and corruption. Top 7. South Sudan. South Sudan, a nation that gained its independence on July 9, 2011, following a referendum in January, has faced considerable challenges in maintaining stability. Despite the initial optimism and aspirations for a promising future, the country has been marred by ethnic tensions and political power struggles. The discord between President Salva Kiir and his former vice president, Riek Machar, dates back to South Sudan's independence. In December 2013, their power struggle escalated into a civil war, resulting in the displacement of millions and the loss of thousands of lives. The conflict has been characterized by severe atrocities on both sides, including rape, murder, and the recruitment of child soldiers. Consequently, South Sudan ranks as the most perilous country in the world. The humanitarian situation in South Sudan is dire, with famine and disease widespread throughout the nation. The United Nations has officially declared a famine in certain regions, and over 7 million people require urgent humanitarian assistance. Aid workers and journalists have also been targeted by armed groups. While South Sudan is endowed with abundant natural resources, such as oil, gold, and fertile land, these resources have failed to bring prosperity to the country. Instead, they have exacerbated conflicts and corruption, with various factions vying for control. The government stands accused of mismanaging these resources, offering little benefit to the population. Top 6. Libya. Libya is known as one of the most violent countries in the world, having struggled with political instability and civil war since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. It is currently divided between two rival governments, the GNA in the capital city of Tripoli, and the LNA in the eastern city of Tobruk. Both parties signed a ceasefire in 2020, but occasional clashes still happen. The conflict has been fueled by many factors, from the struggle for power to control the country's vast oil reserves. Various armed groups and militias have taken advantage of the power vacuum created by the fall of Gaddafi to control different regions of the country. The presence of extremist groups, including ISIS, has added to the volatility and danger in Libya. These groups carried out terrorist attacks and targeted killings. They are further destabilizing the country and making it difficult for any government to establish control. Of course, the ongoing violence has had a devastating impact on Libya's population. Displacement, violence, and lack of access to essential services have left many Libyans struggling to survive. Many hospitals, schools, and other essential services are in disrepair. The United Nations and other international organizations have been working to broker a peace deal between the rival factions, but progress has needed to be faster. Top 5. Iraq. In recent years, Iraq has confronted a multitude of challenges stemming from war and conflict, rendering it a perilous destination for travelers. Lingering ISIS elements continue to pose a substantial threat to both Iraqi security forces and civilians, despite their diminished strength. Suicide bombings, targeted assassinations, and sectarian violence persist in various parts of the nation, creating an ongoing sense of danger for residents and visitors alike. Additionally, the feud between the central government and the autonomous Kurdish region has further complicated the situation, leading to escalated tensions and outbreaks of violence. The country's infrastructure has sustained severe damage due to years of conflict, affecting its economy and pushing many businesses to the brink of survival. Consequently, high unemployment rates and widespread poverty plague numerous regions in Iraq. Moreover, corruption remains a significant issue, exacerbating the challenges the country faces. Top 4. Somalia. Somalia, a country plagued by lawlessness and anarchy for decades, has earned its reputation as one of the most dangerous countries in the world. Ravaged by civil war, famine, and piracy, it is a land where chaos reigns supreme. The militant group Al-Shabaab, an offshoot of the notorious Al-Qaeda, continues to sow terror throughout the nation, launching deadly attacks on both civilians and government forces. The absence of a stable government exacerbates the situation, with competing factions and clans vying for power. Rampant corruption and a lack of basic infrastructure only worsen the living conditions for the average Somali citizen. For those brave enough to venture into this treacherous territory, extreme caution is advised. Top 3. Yemen. Situated at the southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula, Yemen is widely recognized as one of the most perilous destinations for travelers. The nation has been embroiled in a civil war since 2015, characterized by competing factions vying for government control. This prolonged conflict has led to widespread violence, displacement, and a devastating humanitarian crisis, leaving millions in dire need of assistance. Yemen has also seen a surge in criminal activities, including kidnappings and armed robberies, intensifying the dangers faced by visitors. It boasts one of the world's highest crime rates, standing at a staggering 68.93%. The major tribes in Yemen have a reputation for engaging in criminal behaviors such as looting and kidnappings. These tribes possess significant arsenals and exercise autonomy in their local regions. Regrettably, tourists are at risk of abduction and mistreatment by these tribal groups, often requiring substantial ransoms for their release. The torrential rains and subsequent flooding that have engulfed many cities make travel within Yemen unsafe and arduous. These floods have wreaked havoc on roads and bridges, rendering land travel a hazardous endeavor. In some areas, entire roadways have been washed away, and bridges have collapsed, making vehicular travel impossible. Alarming statistics from UNICEF underscore the dire situation in Yemen, with over 11 million children in need of humanitarian aid. Millions grapple with food insecurity and the absence of essential services. Shockingly, more than 540,000 children under the age of 5 suffer from severe acute malnutrition, with one child succumbing to preventable causes every 10 minutes. Visitors to Yemen face a high risk of becoming unwittingly embroiled in the long-standing conflict or becoming targets for extremist groups. Extreme caution is advised for those contemplating a journey to this volatile region. Top 2. Syria. Syria, a nation ravaged by unrelenting conflict, has earned a reputation as one of the most perilous countries in the world. Since the onset of civil war in 2011, it has become a focal point of violence and instability, with numerous armed factions vying for control over territory and resources. The latest catastrophic event to afflict the nation is the Turkey-Syria earthquake, which struck in February 2023. Tragically, this earthquake led to a devastating loss of life, with over 50,000 reported fatalities. The disaster also inflicted significant damage on 116 health facilities, leaving many without access to essential medical care. Consequently, an estimated 18 million people are in dire need of urgent humanitarian assistance. An astounding 90% of Syrians were living below the poverty line, and at least 12 million individuals, out of a remaining population of roughly 16 million, grappled with food insecurity, as reported by the World Food Programme. In addition to the conflict, the country contends with a heightened risk of infectious diseases, partly due to the deterioration of public health infrastructure. Numerous deaths, nearly 40,000, caused by diseases like cholera and measles, have been reported across various regions of the country. Limited access to healthcare facilities means that many individuals struggle to obtain adequate medical care. The well-being of the citizens is further exacerbated by economic sanctions and political instability, which have hindered their access to essential goods and international aid. Moreover, those who venture into Syria, whether for humanitarian or journalistic purposes, confront a constant threat of violence and kidnapping. Syria ranks among the world's most perilous countries for journalists. The absence of law and order, coupled with the absence of a functioning government, renders this war-torn nation a hazardous destination for visitors. Top 1. Afghanistan. According to the Global Peace Index, Afghanistan has long been considered the most dangerous country in the world. The nation's tumultuous history, ongoing conflict, and high levels of violence have earned it this dubious distinction. The most alarming factor is the prevalence of extremist groups in the country. The Taliban, for example, has been waging a brutal insurgency against the Afghan government for over 2 decades. They have been responsible for countless deaths, both of civilians and soldiers. Other groups, such as ISIS and al-Qaeda, have also established a presence in the country, further adding to the instability. Terrorist attacks often occur at airports and religious sites, particularly during religious festivals like the month of Ramadan. Afghanistan's pronounced level of danger is further highlighted by its significant crime rate, which reached 76.32% in 2023. The proliferation of armed groups and criminal gangs is a crucial factor contributing to these alarming figures. These groups are known to engage in illicit activities, such as kidnapping, robbery, and extortion, targeting affluent Afghans and foreigners. Furthermore, the drug trade has also played a significant role in driving up the country's crime rate. As the world's largest producer of opium, responsible for 85% of global opium production in 2020, drug trafficking has become a lucrative source of income for criminal organizations. This, in turn, has led to a surge in drug-related crimes, including addiction, drug trafficking, and associated violence. A strong government presence in many areas is needed to combat these crimes effectively. Additionally, corruption and robust criminal networks make it even harder to maintain law and order. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel. See you next time.